Because QUnit runs all the tests in the context of a page, it's particularly well suited to testing JavaScript that works with the document object model, maybe modifying it or reading some values from it. The test can manipulate the DOM and then assert that the expected changes happened. In your QUnit test page, you can set up whatever HTML is required for your test. When doing these kind of tests, jQuery is a big help to do the DOM manipulation. When doing these kinds of tests, jQuery is a big help with the DOM manipulation and inspection. I have a demo to show what I mean. It's another QUnit test page. Again, we have the standard CSS file, script file, and the standard QUnit markup. But this time I also have some special test markup that my tests are going to work with. They're going to manipulate it. I've grouped the whole thing together in a div with the ID test area. Inside that div I have a text area with the ID phrase, a button with the label paste, and a div with the ID target. My test is going to enter some text into the text box and then click the button and then assert that the contents of the text box are written into the div with the ID target. Once again, I've added a script to the page. I've defined a new module called paste feature and written a test called paste adds to target. Inside the test, I've broken it up into 3 phases. There's a given phase where I arrange the context for this test, setting up the phrase that's going to be placed into the text box. This bit of code here is a jQuery function call that selects the DOM element with the ID of phrase and then set the content of the text box to the variable phrase. Next, I'm getting a reference to the div with the ID of target, and I'm storing the current value of that div for later use. In the when phase of the test, I'm using jQuery to get a reference to the button, and then I'm triggering a click event on that button. Finally, in the then phase of the test, where we want to assert that the expected behavior matches the actual behavior, I'm using the equal assertion to compare the text of the target div to the combination of what was in the target div plus the text that I've just added. The code for this feature is defined in an external JavaScript file, which I've included, and it's called phrase paste. If we quickly have a look at that, what you see here is a self-invoked function called handleClick, which I'm calling immediately after it's defined and passing jQuery object in, which is then aliased to the $sign. This code gets a reference to the button and it configures a click event handler for the button. When the button's clicked, it gets a reference to the target div, gets a reference to the input, and appends the value of the text box to the target div. Let's run that test now and see what happens. Again, all I have to do to run the test is open the HTML file with my browser. Here you can see the test markup that was added to the page, the text box, the button, and the target div. The test phrase has been written into the text box, the button has been clicked, and the contents of the text box has been appended to the target div. Consequently, the test has passed.